I am Dr. Mahammad Rafi, Associate Professor, Department of Cybersecurity at Institute of Aeronautical Engineering. Today I want to discuss about computer network subject, in which the topic is unguided media. Here the outcome of the unguided media is which is enabling the wireless communication between the two devices, and this unguided media which is providing the greater mobility and global other connectivity and reduce the infrastructure cost. However, it faces the challenges such as signal interference and limited other bandwidth and security risk. This is the outcome of the unguided media. Unguided media, which is this media which refers the transmission of the data without the use of the physical connection such as cables and wires. That means whatever these unguided media, so by using this unguided media, the connectionless other communication, we can establish the connectionless other communication between the two devices. That means there is no physical other connectivity not required. The connections are not required between the other devices. With help of these other protocols now we can transfer the other communication. For that now, for this the unguided the transmission media, generally we can use the other protocol. UDP protocol can be used. UDP protocol means user datagram protocol can be used. Here it is also known as a wireless other communications. This unguided media we can call it as a wireless other communication, where data is transmitted through the atmosphere, space, water in the form of the electromagnetic waves. The data can be transferred from device to the air. So that is the atmosphere in the form of the electromagnetic waves. Unguided media which is supporting various forms of a wireless other communications. So which is including wireless other communications are radio waves and microwaves and infrared waves. So these unguided media supporting these wireless other communication, which is wireless other communications can be categorized as radio waves, microwaves, infrared waves, satellite waves. So these are all the unguided transmission medias. Here the frequency in unguided transmission media, the frequency range, bandwidth, range, the data, the applications, limitations and findings. Now if we discuss the transmission media, if we take the transmission media, that is a radio waves. Radio waves, the frequency for this radio waves is 13 Hz to 1 GHz. So the bandwidth is very narrow bandwidth. Now the range is up to several other kilometers. Now we can transfer this unguided transmission, that is a radio waves unguided transmission media. Data rate means up to 100 Mbps the data can be transferred. Megabytes per second. Now up to 100 Mbps the data can be transferred. Here the applications, generally these radio waves can be applied. The broadcast radios, AM and FM amplifiers and frequency modulators, and radio and cordless phones and television signals. So these are all the applications. So in a television signals, these radio waves can be utilized, and cordless phones also radio waves can be utilized. Amplitude of the modulations and frequency modulations also, these are the radio waves can be utilized. The advantage is a long range these directions. That means a long range omnidirectional signals can be transferred with help of the radio waves, and susceptible to the interference to the low bandwidth. If you take the microwaves, the frequency range is 1 gigahertz to 300 gigahertz. The bandwidth is a very wide range, and the range means yes, the medium. Range of the transmission is a medium now. Up to 100 kilometers the distance now, we can transfer these microwaves or signals. Here, the data rate is a up to the 1 Gbps. The data can be transferred into the air. The applications, generally these microwaves can be utilized in a satellite communication and radar or point-to-point communication. That is a device-to-device communication. Also, we can utilize these microwaves or the transmissions. Endpoint to endpoint. Here is the advantage. Advantage means here high data rate, which is unguided. These are the microwaves now, which is transferring. The data rate is very high, and the directional, which is suitable for the long distance the communications. It will be suitable for that one. And the line of the site now, which is the required for this one, and which will be affected weather condition. That means microwaves are, if the depends upon the weather now, it will be changes. Take the infrared. Infrared the frequency range is a 300 gigahertz to 430 terahertz. That means the bandwidth for this the infrared is it's a very narrow. The short range, that means now which is transferred, the infrareds now we can transfer up to the 5 to 10 meters only. The data rate is 1 to 10 Mbps typically. The applications now, these are the infrared can be applied in a remote controlling. Remote controlling now, we can apply these infrared waves. With help of these infrared waves now, the remote signals can be controlled. Short range communications. Here the best example now, which is the TV remotes. Whatever the TV remotes are the controlling, these are the remote signalings now. We are saying it as a infrared rays. So which control the TVs. And the advantage is secure within the confined space, and also the immune to the radio the interferences. Here is the disadvantage is a line of sight is required, easily blocked. Whatever the line of sights now we are the requiring for this infrared, so that can be easily blocked this the signaling. Satellites. Suppose if we take this the satellites now, so these are the satellites. These are the microwaves now. If you see, the range is 1 gigahertz to 30 gigahertz of the frequency range can be. So in a satellites can be utilized. The bandwidth is a very wide bandwidth, and the range for this one very long, up to the, now we can transfer these other signals up to the 36,000 kilometers for the stationary satellites. That means the data rate is up to 100 Mbps the data can be utilized in a satellites. That means global communications. Applications are global communication, TV broadcastings, and GPS of the system. So these are all the applications of the satellites. Coverage, large coverage. The area is a very large coverage areas, so can reach the remote access. So this is the advantage of the satellites, and the disadvantage means the latency is very high. So this is a disadvantage. The expensive the infrastructure. These two are the disadvantages of the satellites. Here, radio waves. The radio waves now, this is a unguided transmission media. So these are the radio waves which is suitable for the long distance communications. We can utilize for the long distance communication and used in a broadcasting and a mobile communication or satellite the transmissions and Wi-Fi. So these are all the application areas. So in these are the application areas now, these are the radio waves can be utilized. Here the transmitter, so with help of this the antenna which is the transmitting the signals, and the receiver which is receiving the whatever the transmitter is transmitted the signal. These are the signals can be received by the receiver through the antenna. Here, this is a radio waves, the tuning the frequencies. So it is a wireless communication. And microwaves. Microwaves generally which is used for point-to-point communication. That means point-to-point communication or host-to-host communication or device-to-device communication. Point which is referring here, the point-to-point means which is point referring it as a one host. So one host to another host now, the data can be the transfer. For this line of sight can be utilized here. This is a single line of the sight that can be the transfer. Common in a satellite communication. Here, this is very common. So microwaves the transmissions are very common in a satellite communication, and cellular networks also. These the microwaves can be utilized, and wireless LANs also. These the microwaves can be utilized here, and so gigabyte the switches for this for data transmission of these the microwaves. Now we are utilizing the Cisco or the gigabyte of the system. That is, these are the which is covering 58 kilometers. Here, whatever the signals, microwave signals now we are transmitting here, which is the cover up to the 58 kilometers, and it is a new business the park at the some Peacock Road here, the Kirkwall. Here also it is another. So another point. This is a one point now. This is another end point. Point to point. Here from one point to another point now we are going to transferring the other signals. Locals at the gravity, not the Ronaldes. Here that's why the signalings now commonly it is utilized in a cellular other networks and wireless local area network. Now it will be utilized. These microwaves can be utilized. Here, infrared. Infrared means now which is used for short range of the communication. Very short range of the other communications now. So within the some meters or within this some other kilometers now. Very short range. For that one, the infrared can be used. So commonly the examples for TV remotes. TV remote controls now. It will be controlled with help of the infrared waves. So commonly used in a TV the remotes, and wireless the keyboards also. So wireless the keyboards and some IoT devices. Any IoT sensor the devices within the meters. The meters are so these are the infrareds. The signals can be by using this infrared signals. The devices can be controlled. Whatever the devices, electronic devices can be controlled. This is a wireless the communication media. Infrared is a wireless communication media. And the characteristics of the unguided media. The characteristics of the unguided transmission media. So that is first it is a mobility. Mobility, that means the meaning of the mobility. So which is allowing the devices, which allows the devices to communicating without being together by the voice. That means now which is allowing the devices without voice. Without other voice now, this is the mobility can the transferring the signals. That means best the example is a mobile communication. So this is a one mobile and device, and this one is another other mobile device here. Without the wires, without the connection orientation, here the signals can be transferred from one mobile to the another mobile device. This is a mobile 1 and mobile 2. So wide coverage. Wide coverage means now this can be cover the large geographical areas, especially with a radio waves. Radio waves. This is a wide coverage area. And signal the interference. Signal interference means now which is the signal interference which is affected by the environmental factors. That is weather. Environmental factors means weather condition. It is a rainy season or cloudy season. So this is a environmental the factors now, the signal, the interference that will be depends upon the environmental other factors, and also the some of the physical the obstructions. So the interference depends upon the weather and the physical the obstructions. Bandwidth, in terms of this the bandwidth for unguided transmission media, generally which is having the low bandwidth compared to the guided transmission media. In a guided transmission media now, which is connection oriented, two devices are the connection. So that's why if the devices are connected with the wires now, the bandwidth, the high bandwidth is required. Here high bandwidth means the more the data can be transferred from one device to the another device for bulk amount of data transmission. But is bandwidth, if it's a low bandwidth now, the less the amount of data can be transferred from one device to the other device. Here the satellites, another while unguided the transmission media is a satellites. Now which is satellites, it is a modern the communication the media now, satellites and navigations and which is playing the very crucial role in the communications and the navigations and weather forecasting, which is finding the weather, the forecastings and remote sensing. These are the satellites now, which is enabling the long distance the communications. That is a long distance up to 36,000 kilometers up to that the distance. Now it will be covered, send the signals now. These communication will be covered. Types of these are the satellites now. Take communication satellites. The first one is a communication satellites. Mainly these are the communication satellites used for transmitting the televisions, radios, internet and telephone signals. So by using these the satellites, communication satellites, now the television signals can be transferred and radio signals can be transferred and internet signals and telephonic signals can be transferred effectively with help of this the communication satellites and positioned in a geostationary orbit approximately, so which is 35,786 kilometers from the earth, which is positioned these the stationary orbits, which is allowing to stay the fixed or a specific point on the earth surface, from the earth surface. For examples of the Intel sat and Inmarsat. So here is Intelsat or Inmarsat. Now one by one if we discuss now. So this is the communication of the satellites. By using this the communication of the satellites now, we can transfer the television signals and mobile phone the signals, any radio the signals, all the signals can be transferred with help of this communication of the satellites. So the example for this communication satellites is a Intelsat. That is a Intel sat means now, which is stands for the International Telecommunication Satellite Organization. Intelsat means International Telecommunication Satellite Organization. So that means this Intelsat, it is a global satellite communication. Globally, worldwide now, globally means worldwide we can provide the communications. That is a global satellite communication. So which that provide the operates a fleet of the satellites, which is offering the voice can be transferred and videos can be transferred and data services across the world. Worldwide can be transferred with the help of the Intelsat. That is the International Telecommunication Satellite Organization. So Inmarsat means now International Maritime Satellites Organization. This Inmarsat now, which is also providing the global mobile satellite communication. Globally, worldwide now, the mobile communications, any video conferences, any video calls now that can be done with help of these Inmarsat satellites, especially for the these are the so maritime industries now, but also for aviations, aerospace, and the governments and these humanitarian efforts. Now it will be utilized in a aeronautics, aviations, the government organizations. Now it will be utilized the Inmarsat satellites. Navigation satellites. The navigation satellite means now, so it is used for the global positioning of the system, that is a GPS system. These are the GPS of the system now, which is finding the location of the particular the communicating device. That is for that now we are utilizing the navigation satellite, these unguided navigation satellites, to provide the location and the timing information. Location and also at what time now we are going to the providing the information at, that is which provides the timing information, and also now which is the positioned in a medium earth orbits, that is a MEO, at altitude around the 20,000 kilometers. Examples are the GPS the systems are GLONASS or Galileo. So these are all the examples for the navigation of the satellites. So GPS now, if we take the GPS, that is a global other positions. Global other positions now, which is operated by the United States. So that is a GPS the system can be operated by states, United States now, that will be operated. GPS now, which is providing the global other locations, which is finding the locations of the communicating the device through the worldwide, and also the time information through the network of the satellite communication system. So this is navigation satellites. And next, global navigation satellite the system, that is a GLONASS, that is a global navigation satellite system. So these are the global navigation satellite system, so which is operated by the Russia. So these are the global navigation satellites, the system, which is the counterpart of the GPS of the system. Now, which providing the global satellite navigation services. GLONASS now, which is providing all the global navigation services can be provided. And Galileo is named after the Italian, the astronomer, that is a Galileo. That is the Galileo is the European Union the global navigation satellite system. These are the system now which is offering the precise positioning and timing of the information. So these are all the different types of the satellites can be utilized for communication. Scientific satellites. If you take the scientific the satellites now, these are the scientific the satellites generally which is used for the research the purpose in a research the centers. Now, for example, the space, outer space, Earth, atmosphere, other planets. So what is happening now? That are the things, the hidden things that can be found in a research laboratories, and which that can be explored out of the space. What is happening with help of the scientific the satellites? This is a scientific the satellites. Here, these are the scientific the satellites now, which is the positioned the different orbits. The orbits now, it will be the positioned around the Earth. It may be positioned here, and it may be the positioned here, and it may be positioned here. Depends upon the moving. These it will be positioned at different locations, depending upon the mission requirement. Mission requirement here, it will be the position. Here, the example for this one is a telescopes and space. This the Kepler space, the telescopes. So different telescopes can be. These are all the best the examples for the scientific satellites. And HST, this telescope, which is launched in April 24, 1990. So The orbit means no low Earth orbit approximately 547 kilometers and above the Earth. That is the Hubble Space the telescope, the HST telescope. The purpose now, the Hubble the space the telescope that is the HST the telescope. So which is capturing the detailed the images of the space around the Earth, which is capturing the detailed images. So this is a HST telescope, and which is providing the galaxies, which is providing the insights into the galaxies, stars, and the planets and other cosmic other phenomena. So which is launched April 24, 1990. And next Kepler Space Telescopes, the KST, that means now which is launched March 7, 2009. Here, this is the orbit of this Kepler the space telescoping, that is heliocentric the orbit now, which is the trailing the Earth around the Sun. The purpose now, which is discovering the Earth planets. So like the Earth like planets, so in other solar systems. By observing this now, so dimming of the stars as a planet was in front of them, and transits methods. So this KST, that means the Kepler space the telescopes now discovering the Earth like the planets. So in other solar systems, by observing the these are the dimming of the stars as a planet was. Earth observation satellites. These are the Earth observation satellites. Now, these used for remote sensing, environmental monitoring around the Earth. With help of these Earth observation satellites now, we can monitor the around the Earth and the resources, the mapping the resources. Different resources can be mapped. So it will be placed in a low Earth orbit, that is a LEO. That means low Earth orbit means now 200 to 2000 kilometers from the Earth. Examples are the Landsat or Sentinel. So these two are the Sentinel or the Landsat are the best example for the Earth observation satellite. These two satellites can be utilized for observing the Earth around the Earth, the environment. It will be observed with the help of this satellite. These are all the unguided videos. Next, the unguided Landsat the program means now, which is the operators are NASA. Now NASA and the United States Geological the Survey. So this the NASA now it is operated. Landsat the program now which is operated by the NASA, and launch the first Landsat the satellite was launched in 1972, and the program has the continued with multiple satellites. After that now number of the programs will be, that is a Landsat 1 or Landsat 9, Landsat 1 to Landsat 9. So number of the programs will be launched. Mainly these Landsat the program now which is capturing the images of the Earth land surface. Earth land surface for agriculture and forestry, land use and environmental the monitoring. For this purpose now, these Landsat the programs can be utilized. So it is a unguided, this is a Landsat program now which is observing the Earth land surfaces for agriculture and the forestry, land use, how the land is utilizing, environmental monitoring can be done with help of this program. And Sentinel the program. That means the Sentinel program now which is invented by the European Space Agency, operated by the European Space Agency. So as part of this, the Copernicus the program. So this is as part of this the Copernicus the program here, which is launch means here the Sentinel 1A was launched in 2014 by European space agencies. And the program has the multiple satellites, that is Sentinel-1 to Sentinel-6. Multiple satellites are these Sentinel, it was the programmed. The purpose means now which is to provide wide range of the data for Earth observations. It is a wide range of the data availability. Now Earth and Earth environment can be observed. That which is the focusing on a land, and which is focusing on a oceans, and which is the focusing on a atmospheric monitoring. So this is the purpose of the Sentinel program. Here, unguided the transmission media such as the radio waves, microwaves, and infrared, which is enabling the wireless communication without the physical media. Here, this offering this unguided transmission media, which is offering the very flexibility and mobility. So these unguided transmission media now, which is provide the various other solutions for different ranges, different other frequency ranges, and different data rates, and also these are the environments, which is making the essential for the different other applications from the local area, local network, from the local network to the global satellite other communications. With the help of this unguided transmission media globally without wires. That means without wires now we can establish the effective communication. That means two electronic devices. That is simply we are calling it as a wireless communications can be effectively established with the help of the unguided transmission media. Here these two are the reference the textbooks, data communication and networking, Tata McGraw-Hill's 5th edition, and the Frozens, and this is a Tenenbaum, and computer networks 5th edition 2010. So these two are the textbooks for unguided transmission media. Thank you.
Like, share and subscribe. Hit the bell icon for more updates.